I welcome all to the sixth session of the day, which is the third session for day. So we are going to have the next session. Our speaker is already here, so we may begin the session now, I believe. So yes. So welcome once again to all to the sixth session of the 5-day long online ATAL FDP on evolving role of AI and ML in the states of the art, research and development, organized by Department of Computer Science and Engineering, and funded by ATAL. So we are fortunate to have with us today our next guest for the occasion, Mr. Avi Devedi. It is my special privilege to introduce our speaker to you. Mr. Devedi is the founder of Extended Reality Developers of India. His organization works towards the goal of XR, that is AR and VR technologies, democratizations and education through this community, podcast, networking platforms, and ground level seminars and workshops in major Indian universities, including IITs and IIMs, and the communities like GS, GDG, and IEEE. XRDI is India's best XR community and is a non-profit organization. XRDI has conducted events in over 50 universities, and more than 10,000 students got benefited from their webinars and live events so far. The community aims for technological growth of India. Extended Reality Developers of India represent the Indian XR ecosystem on international platforms like Global Entrepreneur Week USA, World Leaders Summits, which have been in 2020, and so on. Mr. Davidi is going to speak today on computational thinking and history of XR. I once again welcome you, sir, to the event. Over to you.
Hey, thanks for such a nice welcome. I'm really excited to be a part of this stream today, and would love to share some of the information which I have gathered around with my experiences with virtual reality in past 8 years. If you can see me right now, say hi to me, because I'm present here in my virtual avatar, which I love about. So can you guys see me?
Yeah, I can see, we can see some virtual, if I'm not wrong, I can see, yes, we can see your virtual world.
Yeah, so hi guys, we can also do the session on this virtual board. Let me just write something on the, oh shit, yeah. Okay, so hey guys, welcome to this session on virtual reality. And I thought, why not we should start with virtual reality within virtual reality. So here we are, but this board is a little bit clumsy. And I'm not sure if you cannot see my screen on a full screen, you can also pin my screen, pin my window, so you can see me on full screen. So also we're gonna share a lot of information about virtual reality today. I hope you guys are excited. I know you guys are all our faculties and professors. So, but still, today you are a student and you have to be really interactive, because who doesn't love interactivism while talking about things like virtual reality? It's all about interactive way of learning. So we are going to talk about and dive deep into how you can leverage, how you can speak in virtual reality, how you can create your own avatars in virtual reality. Everything we're going to do in this series of lectures, which is a 3-day session, which I'll be doing here. But before that, let me share my screen. So in the same screen, you'll be able to see the presentation which I'm going to show. Just give me a moment. I'm just setting my presentation screen. It's present right now. So now you can see my screen. I'm presenting it. So let me know if you can see the presentation on full screen now.
Yeah, we can see.
All right, awesome. So welcome to this session. I'm your instructor today. I'm Avidivedi, and I have spent a great amount of time in virtual reality and augmented reality and 3D industry. So I have created this community called Extended Reality Developers of India, which is now India's largest VR and AR community. I have worked as a medical imaging scientist at Immersive Touch. Immersive Touch is doing exceptional job when it comes to uh, medical virtual reality simulations and doing trainings and surgery planning. So next, I also have a studio called Unitile Studios, which is a service-based team of 12. We provide all sort of VR and AR services. Now, to start with the presentation, I would like to say this quote from my favorite movie series, Matrix, that there is no spoon, neither there is 3D. Okay, so let's say it again. There is no spoon. There's a scene in Matrix when Neo meets a kid uh, at Oracle's house, and that kid explains Neo that how this monk is able to bend this spoon, right? And he tell Neo that I am able to bend the spoon because there is no spoon, and that is exactly true with the 3D as well. The 3D, you look at your screen, the 3D games and the 3D virtual reality itself is not actually 3D. There is no such thing as 3D graphics. It's all illusion. So how this is, I'm going to explain in next slides. All right, so now to uh, all of you guys, what is this 123 or 123? What is your answer? 123 or 123? What do you call it? Can anybody unmute and tell me about it? 123 or 123? What do you guys prefer? There are 75 of you. I can listen. Are you guys typing in chat or something? I'm not really sure.
People are actually typing in the chat box.
Okay. So what is the common opinion? What is this, 123 or 123?
So it is just somebody has written 123. I mean, it's like 1, 2, 3 together. So, or somebody has written number. So you,
Okay.
yeah, most of the people are writing 1, 2, 3.
Most of the people are writing 1, 2, 3. Okay, awesome. So if you are saying 1, 2, 3, which means you are not doing any sort of collectivism with these numbers, and you are not seeing them as one number, you are seeing them as 3 different objects. But if somebody is saying 123, it means they are doing a great amount of maths in their heads. They are actually doing this. They are adding or imagining the 3 at first position, the 2 as 10th position, and the first one number as 100th position, right? So then it's basically 10 to the power 0, 10 to the power 1, and then 10 to the power 2, right? So it's all in 10 power. So the number system which we use, it's called decimal. And it's called decimal because decimal comes from deca, and deca means tens. So it's basically a base 10 power, base 10 number system. That's why we call it decimal, right? So whoever said 123, they did this mathematics in their heads. It's a 100 position number, which means they multiplied this to 100, multiplied the number 1 to 100. They multiplied number 10 with 2, the second position number, right? And with 1 is multiplied to this, and then they added all together and it become 123, right? So we are very used to this mathematics, and we don't even think about it when we do it, right? We are so obvious. This is so obvious about the decimal number system that it is so intuitive that we think there's nothing else what we need to know about maths. It's just obvious. That has to be that way only. But there are several other number systems as well. And the number system which is important for computer is binary. Okay. So what is the difference between decimal and binary? The biggest difference is they operate on the same principles. The principles between decimal and binary is exactly the same, but the amount of numbers, the amount of characters which they include is different. On the one hand, the decimal has 10 character set. Binary has just two, zeros and ones. So decimal has 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and binary has 0 and 1. Okay, so how do you represent something in binary? So you can say, okay, this is 110, but this is not 110, this is something else, right? How do you find out what is in binary? Exactly the same way. This is actually 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, which means exactly same way how the decimal works. With the same principle, binary works as well. It's only there are two characters, so that's why we take 2 as a base, and then we increment the powers based on the positions, right? 0, 1, 2. Similarly, 10, 1, 2. It's exactly the same thing, right? So it becomes 1, it becomes 2, it becomes 4. Now we do the same mathematics which we did with the decimal, which means this was 0, so we added 0 for this. This was 2 and 1, so we multiplied this. 4 and 1 multiplied this, and then we got number 6. So 110 becomes number 6. The same mathematics which we use in decimal applies in binary as well. Now, once we understood that how binary works, now we know one thing, that we can convert any number from decimal to binary. All right, but we don't just use numbers in computers these days. We use a lot of things, like we use characters A, B, C, D, E, F, G. How do you convert from a character to a number? What is the way to convert? The way is we require some sort of map, and this map could be anything, right? There is no logic that why A is 65, not 64. There's no logic at all, right? But there's a map, and it's easy or it's essential for everyone to follow the same map. If you don't follow the same map, you don't end up at the same locations, right? So we choose this map. We call this map ASCII. In the ASCII, the character number A has assigned a value called 65. And this 65 is then exactly converted from 65 to this binary number, which is 1000001. Okay, so if you actually do the backward calculation, converting from binary to decimal, you'll get to the same 65, and you'll check on the map what is 65. You'll say, okay, whenever I see 65, I'll check it with the map, ASCII map, and I'll call it, this is an A, capital A, right? So that's how we figured out characters. Okay, now we have the power to convert from characters to mathematics to the mathematics of computers. Okay, finally we have this. But now we can type and somebody can receive a message. That is fine, that is cool. We have created SMS, right? But how do we create rich text? How do we create, let's say, emojis? Okay, so this SMS, let's say you are sending someone a text, which means whenever you are writing hi, this exact value is being sent to them: 72, 73, and 33, right? So H for 72, I for 73, and exclamation and all the other characters which are used, like brackets, like a semicolon. All these characters has a specific value on that ASCII map. There are, of course, other maps as well. India also has its own map as well. So based on other maps, there are other characters which are being mapped on these numbers, right? In the ASCII map, the 33 is assigned for the exclamation mark. And how do you create emojis, by the way? Emojis also have a similar map, and that map converts to a number, and then that number converts to a binary digit. And that's how computer understand, okay, this binary digit with this decimal value, and on the map, this decimal value means this particular character. That's how you make those emojis. By the way, I'm not sure if you have noticed all the emojis have yellow color. And why do they have yellow color? Answer is colors are made of three numbers. And those number basically are R, G, and B. Can anyone tell me what does RGB means?
Yeah, red, green, and blue.
Anyone typing?
Yes,
Red,
red,
green,
green,
and blue.
and blue.
Exactly.
People are typing in.
Exactly. So we have two major formats in which the colors are presented, RGB and HSVs. What is HSV, by the way? Anyone typing? No. HSV is hue, saturation, and value. Awesome. So HSV is huge as saturation and value, and then RGB is red, green, and blue. So that's how the colors are mapped. Now these are numbers as well. So we can type the characters, and those are mapped into that binary. And now the colors are mapped into a binary. So if I see red, I know the red value has to be the highest, right? Like for example, these values are mapped in 0 to 255. Why these are mapped in 0 to 255? Because of 8-bit configuration. So 2 to the power 8 is like 256, but we can represent, we have to represent from 0. So 2 to 255, right? Exactly. So in 8-bit color spectrum, the RGB values are going to be 0 to 255. That's why, or however, that 8-bit is popular, that doesn't mean that our value doesn't go to much higher. Our values in other spectrums goes much higher, like 16,526, I guess, for 16-bit, right? So yeah, when it comes to our whenever we have to represent red, I'll keep the red to the fullest, like the highest value possible, like in this case 255, and the green will be 0 and the blue will be 0. Then it will represent only red, the purest form of red possible, right? Awesome. Fun fact, the message we send high, which was like 72, 73, and 33, that is exactly the color yellow. If you write in any software these numbers for RGB values 72, 73, and 33, you'll get exactly the same yellow color as emojis. So that's how they figured out the color for emojis. That's why they are not skin color, yellow color. All right, so as I said, emojis has their own maps. So this poop emojis has this particular map on the index, whatever the map they have created for this cute looking pictures. So whenever your computer find the decimal equivalence of this particular number, 12 million, I don't know, yeah, 1,028,169. Okay, so not 1 million, 1,28,169. So then it converts that particular number into decimal, and if the decimal equivalence match to the character map of this particular object, okay, it checks for that particular index and it replaces it with this poop emoji. That's how emojis work. So now we know how the smileys and emojis work. Now come to picture. Okay, so pictures are similar. Exactly. We have to represent everything in just one format, which is binaries, zeros and one, right? So the pictures are also zeros and one. This is called a single channel picture. Like it has only one channel. It's also called grayscale. It's you guys in your terms also call it what do you call it? Black and white, right? So this is a picture in which it's very pixelated for sure to showcase the number values correctly. But you can see these numbers has some values assigned to it. Like there is 157, then 153, 174. These sort of values are being assigned to these color channels and pictures, right? So that's how this pictures are being created. Whatever the picture you see is basically just an array of color values. And if that is a color picture, which means it has 3 color values. R, G, and B. And in most cases, it's not just 3, it's 4. R, G, B, and A. What is A? Can anyone type what is A? In RGBA, what is A? Okay, nobody's typing, no worries. A is alpha. Okay, so means the transparency of for that particular pixel, right? So from these 4 values, we create an image. And whenever we transmit these values, whenever we have to send a photo, all the values of like 168 converted into binary, 153 converted into binary, 174 converted into binary, till this last pixel, which is 210 converted into binary. This whole data is packed around some other objects, some other information, which tells that, okay, this is this particular sort of picture, like this is a gray picture, or this is a RGBA picture, whatever kind of picture it is. This data all together is packed, and then your one picture, one SMS is sent from your phone to somebody else's phone, right? Awesome. Now, what are videos? Okay, and let's look at this video. It's a beautiful video, isn't it? So what is a video? Video is something else. Now, video cannot be pixels or images or something. But let's look at what video is, right? So this is the video what you just saw. It's just collection of images, and there was no such thing as video. There was no horse, right? So this is all the frames. This video had only 12 frames, and these 12 frames were playing one by one, and you were processing those 12 frames as a motion. So by the way, fun fact, this is world's first video actually. The horse you just saw, that video is world's first video ever created. So some artist took a lot of pictures of that horse in motion, and he took 12 pictures, and he constructed it together and played it in a very high speed. So how much speed he played actually is 12 frames per second. Fun fact, above than 15 frames per second, this number could be different for different persons. Uh, for some people it could be higher, for some people it could be lower. It's a personal thing, but somewhere around 12 to 15 frames per second, you stop distinguishing between individual pictures versus video. So if I play a lot of pictures in more than changing those picture 12 times in a second, if I do so you will not be able to distinguish between the motion versus not motion and stillness. So that's how videos are created. And by the way, one more fun fact, now the videos are which you saw are into more than 12 fps, because obviously this was the first, so it is lower. But now the videos you saw are usually in 30, 60, 120 fps. All right. So the screen refresh rate, a lot of what you get that is also a thing that is around 120 or 90 fps. So we are doing a lot of things these days. Now, what is an algorithm? How everything is happening? What is an algorithm? So turns out the computers basically communicate in form of algorithms, or whatever you have to communicate to a computer, you have to tell them in form of instructions. And these instructions, set of instructions, are called as an algorithms, a specific set of timed instructions. So the essence of algorithm is that there is some input, there are some sets to be on depth obtained to perceive some expected output, and then finally on the other end we get output. That's exactly all the computing what is possibly there. Some input, some processing, and some output. So that is called algorithm. Now, as I mentioned, there is no such thing as 3D. We are now getting into 3D, and we are going to see that what is 3D, right? So when we are talking about any shape, let's take the simplest shape possible. Simplest 3D shape is going to be a 3D cube. All right, everybody has seen a 3D cube. It's just looks like a cube. All right, so how do you create a 3D cube in a 3D environment or in a 3D engine? So let's see. So we define each edge of the cube as some numbers. All right, and these numbers has to be in 3D space because these numbers are three-dimensional, right? So we call that space some sort of coordinate. We have to come up with some sort of coordinate number system, right, to represent these three cubes. So this is a value. Let's say our first cube, this is at origin, like 0, 0, 0. All right, this 0, 0, 0 in 3D space is called origin because this is the very first number. Based on that, every other number is referenced, right? And we're gonna define v1, which is like in x, in same dimension of z, in same dimension of y, but not in same dimension of x. So in x, one space later, we have got this v1. If I go to up here, v4, that is one space up, but same in x and same in z. So it v4 becomes this is v4 na? V4 becomes actually the numbering here is wrong, I guess. So v3 gonna become 0, 1 and 0 because this has to be v3 in this case. All right, so I didn't make this chart. Okay, so this is v3, and similarly how we can define. Okay, actually certain softwares define z different and certain software defines z different. Even that is the reason why I'm saying the numbering is wrong. So there are different methods. Some softwares you're gonna find which gonna define z in up direction, like this software is gonna define z in up direction, but the software I work with defines z in the depth direction, in the z direction, right? So it's not in the depth direction, it's in the up direction in this case. That is why v4 is here, right? Cool. It depends on which software you are working on, but the principles are same, that each vertices, each point is called vertices. They're gonna create some sort of they're gonna be mapped on some sort of references, differences from each other. So that becomes some sort of mesh. We call it exactly the same thing, mesh. And then this mesh, which means the collection of matrices, is being transferred to something called a rendering engine in a rendering pipeline format. Rendering pipeline is basically an algorithm which generates images from this sort of data. So you feed in data from one side like this, you feed in, the input is going to be these vertices data, and the output is going to be some sort of image. So we are looking at how this image is being created. So first, the vertex processing is going to happen, which means in the virtual subset is going to parse every single value from this. It's going to then, of course, convert in binary and all those. So of course, there is a lot of intermediate interpretation. So now the 0, 0, 0 is going to be converted into some sort of virtual format, virtual space format, and that is going to be processed by this vertex processor. Now, in the second stage, the rasterization is going to happen. All right. So the rasterization means it's going to evaluate that which pixel is within the shape and which pixel is not. So if we are suppose creating an image of this big, like let's say 100 by 100, so it's going to define that whichever the vertices are we have received, which of the vertices are falling within the shape and which are not. So it's going to basically mark the vertices which are only within the shape, and that process is called rasterization. All right. Now in the third step, we do the fragment processing. All right, or you can also call it shading. You can also, there are multiple names. So we do this fragment processing, or we can also call it pixel shading, whatever you want to call it. All right. So in this, we have mapped all the pixels which are inside that triangle, which is the shape which we are processing. All right. And triangle is, by the way, one of the smallest unit of any shape. So with it's called primitive. With the triangle primitive, you can create all sort of shapes possible. We of course experimented with other shapes as well, like rectangles and other shapes, but the triangle seems to be best. So we use triangle, but there are some softwares which still use rectangles and hexagons. That is one way to do it, but any shape could be made by using of these triangles. So we are here processing a single triangle. So this 3D triangle becomes this here the marked which positions are inside, which positions are outside. Once we have marked the which positions are inside, we can process which color belongs to this particular images. So similarly, the vertex data, and there is a color data which is also being inputted. So in this algorithm, we are inputting some sort of vertex data and some sort of color data. This color data is basically comes in form of images, so that in that single image texture is being mapped to this particular triangle, right? So now we have finally added the color triangle. Now that particular data is converted into array of values, which is called pixel, which means all the 100 by 100 pixels are being filled, including this particular image. So that's how the entire render cycle basically works. This is the render pipeline which a lot of software follows, and that generates just one single image. So this entire process converts these numbers into one image, all right, an image of a triangle, all right. So here is as well the similar process, the very same process. So vertex processes, you can see the vertex processing. We are mapping 3 dots on the screen, all right. In this primitive processing, you can say in the next stage, we also call it rasterization. We are basically drawing the boundaries between these points. In this case, we also sometimes convert we also define the triangles between these. So that's why it's called primitive processing. I told you that the triangle is the primitive shape. So that's why it's called primitive processing, which means we see that how these dots, with these dots, how many triangles we can create. If suppose I add one more triangle here, then we can create 2 triangles. So that's why it's basically dividing the shape into 2 or 3 different triangles or millions of triangles, right? So now the primitive processing happened. Now some fragment processing happened. In this one, they skip the rasterization part. But fragment is happening, which means they are defining which pixels belongs to this triangle and then providing them a color. And finally, some pixel processing, which is happening. And that's how basically, and the output is being sent to memory. So here you can see the input is coming from memory, like the input. What was the input? The vertices information plus RGB values. Okay. And then the output is sent to wapas memory. All right. Now, how do you create this? So you don't have to write this algorithm. This algorithm is implemented by a lot of softwares, and you don't have to provide those these values by your hand anymore, like 011, 0110, and all these values. You don't have to provide it now, because we have created these sort of softwares which help you point these values that in 3D space itself. You can start putting together values by values by values by values, and they convert into output file, which is like vertices information in array, the same zeros and ones, and then values based on one origin. And then finally, it's all processed by one rendering pipeline. So that's how the 3D appears on your screen. There's no such thing as 3D, it's all binary. And why I'm telling and keep repeating this, because once you understand there's no such thing as binary, or there is no such thing as 3D, you can do anything with 3D, right? Because there is no limitations as well. That's why Neo do all the matrix stuff, because nothing was real. And you can do it as it is unreal. Okay, so there are several softwares, and these softwares allow the artist to express their artisticism using these softwares on canvases. So they plot these points using some sort of brushes or something, some tools. They plot the points one by one and they convert into these complex objects. The output is these complex objects. And now after you get those objects, now the next step is to put those objects into game engines like Unity, Unreal, and Buildbox. You create those objects in 3D Max, Maya, Blender, ZBrush. So once you got those objects, you put it in there, and now here you can animate it in several ways. So what these objects do? These objects basically have something called a camera. Camera is basically a pinpoint location, and it's better if we call camera not camera but perspective point, because it's literally that. So from that perspective, I want to render this scene. So once we see this objects, these objects are actually just values sitting in your memory, and now this camera's job is to actually provide the image from its perspective. So from this perspective, from this camera perspective, an image is to be generated on the view plane of these objects which are sitting in the memory. All right, so this is how the process is done. You know how this entire rendering cycle works. That's how we generate these objects, right? Once we generate these objects, but now the problem is we have generated just one image. And I know I told you that if you generate one image, it's just an image, it's not a video. And to appear things in 3D or to make things interactable, you require a video. So this does not generate just one image. This has to generate more than one image. It means it generates above 30, above 60, and above 90 in some cases, right? In virtual reality, you need to generate more than 90 images. If you are doing less than 90, you are basically giving your player a lot of nausea, because the amount of head movement and the quick head movement happen in virtual reality. You have to chase to that. And if you're not chasing to that, which means you are giving your players, and I call them the players riders, good amount of nausea there. So now let's come to depth, how you perceive depth. So you still see, even if you create video, there's no such thing as 3D, because there is still no depth in these objects. They are still 2D objects on a 2D screen. How do you perceive depth then? The answer is here: binocular stereoscopic vision. What is binocular stereoscopic vision? It basically means, so let's do an experiment. Let me just go back to my avatar mode, and let me just check if I can go back to avatar mode and do it. 1 second now. All right, I'm wearing my headset back. Yeah, I'm back. Okay, can you see me now? Yep.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. I'm going back. Okay, I want you guys, okay, I still have the marker. Let me throw the marker. It's fine, I can mess around the class. I want to do one experiment with me. Just do one thing, that put your hand like this, all right, in front of you like this. I'm looking in a mirror, that's why I'm looking like this. Okay, and close your one eye, left eye. Okay, look at your hand, and then now close your right eye and open left eye and look at your hand. All right, and repeat the process vice versa. Quickly close one eye, look at your hand, close right eye, look at your hand, close left eye, look at your hand, close right eye, look at your hand. So if you do the process quick enough, if you do this rapid, if you do this quick enough, you're gonna find that your left eye is looking at a different image and your right eye is looking at a different perspective, right? There's a very slight difference between your left eye is going to look on the left part of your hand. Your right eye is going to look the right part of your hand more, right? Is this happening?
Right,
All right.
right, perfect.
So this is exactly what happens in the human eyes, and this is something we have to replicate in order to showcase some sort of depth in reality. All right, so let me just write something on this board.
So I got disconnected a little bit. I hope our speaker is here, right?
I think our speaker is facing some kind of technical. Sir has joined. Just a
Okay,
second.
all right, all right.
I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes, sir,
we can.
you're back.
Yeah, actually the power cut happened at my place. I'm really sorry about that. All right, so now you can see the screen back.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So I hope you can see the
The
screen.
screen, right? Absolutely.
Wait, hold on a second. Yeah, I guess you should be able to see the screen, right? Awesome. So we are talking about stereoscopic vision. So the idea that your left eye sees this cube at this angle, your right eye sees this cube at this angle, right? The C is bigger here, all right? As you can see, focus on the C part is bigger and the B part is smaller for your left eye. The C part is smaller and B part is bigger on your for your right eye. And when you see this, and then finally the final image which is processed using the information of C and B, it's all the information goes in your brain, and finally the brain sees at C and B at equal sizes. All right, this is a very fundamental principle of VR and 3D technologies, and that's how everything works. So you see something different here, something different here, and then they merge together. Like the same experiment you did with your hand, your left eye was looking at different perspective of your hand, right eye looking at different perspective of your hand, and then your both eyes are merging together, and it's called binocular vision. So there is some extra image which is your left eye seeing, extra image which is your right eye seeing, and this image is being ignored by your brain, and the binocular vision is in 3D, and these part is not in 3D. All right, so that's how human brain perceive depth. So if you have to fool the human brain into perceiving depth, let me just check if my streaming is working fine. 1 second, just 1 second. Because of power cut, I'm not sure if it's stream finished. Awesome. I'm really sorry about that. Because of power cut, the stream is finished. Let me just it's streaming again, but no worries, I'll upload the video in post processing. No worries. Okay, so yeah, getting back to the presentation. Really sorry, guys. Awesome. So if you look at this particular image, this is from 1838, which means we figured out stereoscopic vision in 1838 or prior. So this sort of headsets were being built, and in which there are in the background there are two images of a machinery, but from a slightly different perspectives. One is from this sort of angle, one is from this sort of angle. And when you see from here, you look at a 3D image. So that's how we fool our brain to imagine that whatever you're looking at is 3D. There are similarly on the same philosophy, there are these 3D glasses which are being built. One image is basically red one, and one image is basically blue one. And so how this 3D glass works is basically we show the image, like let me give you an example of a 3D picture. So how 3D works is basically if I show you here. Yeah, there are a lot of videos available on YouTube which you can go and look at. So I'm showing you one video. I'm sorry, my internet is using the phone internet, so it's not as at that fast. All right, so you can see in this particular frame that there are two images sort of. There is the red guy's face and there is the blue guy's face. Something red and blue is always there, right? So what's going to happen when you look at from this sort of lens, this sort of glasses, what's going to happen is basically the red part is going to be ignored by the red section. So in the red part, you're going to receive only blue light. And the blue part is going to be ignored because everything is blue by the blue section. So all you will receive is red light. So that's how you see two different images from a slightly different perspective from this same glasses. So the idea is same, sending two different images to you, two different eyes, and that's how you're going to perceive 3D. All right, so now we did that, and that's how you see 3D. And now these days, there is a technology called active shutter. If you go to IMAX or somewhere, you find these sort of glasses which are not red and blue. So how this works now, how you're going to differentiate between two different images? It's called active shutter because there is a sensor which is synced by the screen. On the screen, on top of screen, there is a infrared indicator which sends a signal on and off and on and off. So whenever the screen, what the screen does is basically once it shows the frame for left eye and the sensor closes the right eye of this image, it adds a shutter on top of it. So your eye is going to receive the image for the left eye. From left eye, you only see the image which is for the left eye, and then shutter opens and start for the right eye, the same process. It shows on the screen, it shows the right eye image and closes your left eye. Now the right eye image is going to right eye, and that happens at so fast that you don't even notice that the shutter is working anyways. And it happens so fast, like 120 plus times per minute. So you don't even notice that this is happening. And your different eyes sees different images, and that's how you see 3D. How do you record 3D, by the way? You have these sort of cameras which has two different separate lenses, and this distance is maintained. So two different cameras see two different pictures, and both of these pictures are being recorded as a two different images, and then they are merged in several ways. So that's how you record the 3D movies like Avatar or whatever. That's how they are recorded, with two different image camera. All right. What is this thing? This is called a 360 camera. And how it works is basically it has not two sensors, it has much more, like 1, 2, 3, and many more. It has cameras all around it. So as you can see, it's going to capture its surrounding from all different locations. So when you capture the surrounding and all different locations, what happens? Let me show you a video of that. What happens when you do it? The output from this camera is a 360 video. And what is a 360 video is basically, let's watch this video or we can also watch this video, but let's watch this one first. All right, it doesn't not have to be HD because my streaming quality is not that good today. I'm streaming on phone. All right. Okay. So we are looking at a video, but there's something cool about this video. Let me just move it. So I can see everything. I can see in all directions, not just in one direction. So I'm looking at these guys, but I can see that what these guys are looking at, right? So I'm not limited to what these guys are doing in the plane, but I can also see their perspective, that what they are looking towards. I can look at some of the panels here. I can zoom wherever I want to. I can basically look at wherever I want to in a 360 camera. How this happens? To capture this, we have a camera like this, which is looking at all the directions. And that camera is basically responsible for capturing our feed from our particular angle. Let me just go back to the presentation. Yeah. So that how basically the 360 works. All right. 1 second. Full screen. Yes. All right. So that's how this camera looks at all different locations. And then there's a process called stitching. So it stitches all those images into one image. And that's how you process the 360 videos. Awesome. After this process happened, we also have something called 3D capture, or you can also call it photogrammetry, but I guess I didn't make included it in the slide for some reason. So in VR technologies from like stereoscopic vision in 1838 to now has evolved a lot. This is a very early prototype for looking at 3D images. This is another I showed you from 1838. There is one paper which comes with these sort of pictures, and there's a magazine as well which comes with these pictures, and it also comes with a glass, and you have to look at the glass to the paper at particular different angle, particular different distance, and then you see the paper images in 3D. And that's how we are fooling our brain to look non-3D as 3D, because there is no such thing as 3D. There is a machine called Sensorama, and this Sensorama was there in 1950. It was built by a director, and he created a lot of movies, 3D movies into it. And there's a popular movie of a bridge in which you are riding a motorcycle on a bridge, and on that motorcycle you are basically feeling all the vibrations of the motorcycle, and you are feeling all the smells surrounding it. So it was a completely immersive simulator at 1950. Now there is this particular guy is called Super Cockpit. This Super Cockpit is used to train the pilots in 1980s. So as you can see, it's heavy for sure. If it falls on your head, you'll be die. So please wear it carefully and don't make it fall. It was a very expensive, and it was a very early stage VR prototype built in 1980s. Then there is Sega, which in 1990 announced the VR headset, but Sega just announced and never gave us a VR headset. It was never feasible to build it. There is a Nintendo one. This is Nintendo Virtual Boy, and they released one virtual reality headset, but they did it really wrong. After that as well, there are several headsets which came, but none was worthy enough of review, at least not on a consumer level. There are since 2005, the NASA is using the virtual reality headsets in their operations for training pilots for the spacecrafts. So they have the setup VR lab for like several for more than a decade. Now, in 2010, a company was founded called Oculus, and Oculus created these sort of headsets called Rift. And there was also a competitor in 2013 called Vive. So these headsets are literally the very state-of-the-art devices, and we can create all sort of miracles with them. And they are now in the consumer space, which means you can buy, and by an assumption, it's not even costly. So a lot of things that a lot of people think that getting a virtual reality headset is going to be costly and it's going to increase the cost of their it's not even worthy, but it's actually opposite. So especially if I'm going to talk about, since you guys are into education sectors, I'm going to talk about the in the edtech even, the VR is performing great job. So if you do some courses from a university, is going to cost a lot. If you build entire labs inside university, is going to cost a lot on management. But we can do all those in virtual reality for fraction of cost. So it's actually reducing the cost. And now the virtual reality headsets don't even cost much. In 2017, I purchased a headset called HoloLens, and that headset was costed me 6 lakhs approx. In similar year, I also got one Vive, and that costed me around approximately 1.75, 1,75,000. So they were expensive, but now I can buy an headset in 40,000 rupees. It's even less than a gaming headset. So gaming laptop, it's even cheaper than that. So now you can literally buy a headset on EMI, and easy EMI. So it's not going to be harsh on your pocket, even if you want to do some research on that or build some sort of use case on that. So this is me, Avi Dwivedi, and I also have a community which is India's largest community on virtual reality, augmented reality. So if you have any queries, you can also always meet me, and we can discuss whatever your queries are, whatever your ambitions are on VR and AR. You can connect with like-minded people on the community. We have a YouTube channel. We have a podcast where I invite industry experts from all around the world, and they share their knowledge about VR and XR. We have posted more than 60 episodes so far. So yeah, this is all about it. And now we can go to Q&A. If some you guys have any questions, I'll be there to answer it. So yeah, please go ahead if you have any questions.
I request all the participants to kindly, you can write in the chat box if you have any query, or you can also unmute yourself and ask a question directly to sir. All right, so yeah, you can now unmute yourself and ask question if you have any, or you can also write in the chat box. Is there any question? Please go ahead and write in the chat box. Sir, I believe your screen is still shared.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, so people are actually saying thank you, and few words of appreciations are coming up.
Yeah, thank you is not just enough. Actually, I have shared a
questions
form
are
for you
still
guys.
coming.
So it's a feedback form. So let me know about it. What you guys feel about the event today, and we'll be doing more in-depth event where we'll be also going for hands-on in VR at the third day. So yeah, I hope you guys like the session, and you guys contact me anytime. I was expecting more questions, but I'm not sure what you guys are looking towards.
So there is a question, sir, in the chat box, or rather some request from Shuddhata.
As a beginner,
yeah.
where to start, right? Okay, Sujalta, I guess for you, it's a great thing to start from this session only, right? So you can speak to whatever your questions are from here only. So I have talked about uh, the very beginning of how you form algorithms or anything. It's just how you're gonna make your mind about approaching virtual reality. But yeah, more into it. So of course, you can start from here only, but you can also visit the YouTube channel of ours. You can also check that. And it's more important to basically guide your students about virtual reality than than everything else. So please connect them to our community, and we would love to guide them as well. And yeah, you can start with session in our YouTube channel. There are several sessions. There's a masterclass also. It's a 7-day program. I'm trying to do the 7-day thing in 3 days there. So I hope. Okay. If I have to provide YouTube link, it's the same channel called HRDI. Let me just send it. Yeah, so here is the session. Here is the YouTube channel link. I hope you guys, if you guys have any query, you can still go for it. I know the session was really light and I didn't go very in depth of it, but the next will be much more in depth.
So there's a question from Professor Nilanjana Datta Roy. She's asking if you can explain the difference between AR and VR.
Okay, for sure. That this is what we are going to do in the next session, but still, I'll go over it. So I guess it's better to explain in next session because it will be gonna take much more time than telling it. To tell overview or a brief is basically in VR and AR are opposite things. In VR, we immerse the player inside a virtual world, and in AR, we try to bring the virtual world elements into the real worlds. So that is the only difference. And yeah, so when you are trying to immerse the player, the very user inside a virtual world, that's a VR. And when you are trying to bring some elements like a character, like an image, like a video, like some sort of analytics into real world or superimpose on top of the real world, in that case, that's called AR.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for your explanation. It was really an interesting talk. At least we started rethinking of what we thought we know already. So it was, at least for me, it was an eye-opening sessions for thinking the same, seeing it in a different way, not just the bookish way, the way we learn. It was rather much more, making us think and understand things which already we feel we know. So it was indeed a very interesting session. So the participants, if you have any query, you can go ahead. We would also have another session with Sir. So at that day, we are going to take up much more in depth on AR and the VR, as Sir has just mentioned. If you still have any query, you can go ahead and post in the query, your query in the chat box, or you can also unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can also keep your questions up for the next sessions if you find some questions are coming up after the session. So yes, I would stop for a minute so that you can recollect your questions and post in the chat box.
So I've added the feedback form again in the chat. Please fill that. That is really important for us. And would love to listen to you that how we can improve our sessions. and have a great day, guys. I guess you guys are doing really well. I know that you guys are packed with all those sessions. So many sessions are going off for you guys, but I hope you enjoyed this one.
Yeah,
And I'll
absolutely. It
try
was a
my
wonderful
best
session, sir.
to give more informative in the next one. Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So I would like to present a small certificate to
Thank you,
you
guys.
as a
Have a nice
token
day.
of appreciation. Am I audible? Mr.
Yes,
Javedi, am
ma'am,
I
you are
audible?
totally audible. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So yeah, this is just a token of appreciation from our side. Thank you for your time, and it was a real wonderful session. Firstly, it was a mind-boggling session, I would say, making us think and see things, which we thought we know it. So at least for me, that would be the right way to summarize the entire session. So for the participants, again, I would like to remind you about the attendance form and also the form that Sir has shared in the chat box. So please kindly fill up the form which Sir has posted in the chat box. Along with this, you will also have to, fill up another form which is posted just, a second back, which is for your attendance for the FDP. But yes, that means we have two forms to fill. The first one is the one which Sir has circulated, and the second one is the ATAL, attendance form for the entire day. So please be careful while filling it up. And I would also insist if you need some time, the entire session will be active until 3:30. So you can take your time, fill it up, fill both the form up. And please make sure while filling up the ATAL form, your email address has to be the one with which you registered for the feedback. I mean, the entire FDP. So yeah, with this, we come to the end of the second day. I believe it was a good learning experience for all of us. So with this, we come to the end. Thank you, everybody. See you again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Quick reminder, the feedback form is still open and the attendance form is also open. So please take care while filling it up. You need to put your proper email address which you used while you registered for the FDP.